if your wife works, or if wife works, okay, is she supposed to or should she contribute to the bills?
Okay, if your wife works, should she contribute to the bills?
So on Instagram, I just put yes and no.
Okay.
So I'm just going to tell you what the statistics were.
Yeah.
So men said they were 50-50.
Okay.
That 50% said no, 50% said yes. That, okay, 50% said yes, they should contribute to the bills if they are working. Okay. However, from the female side, 62% said no. Meaning
62% said no.
That they would not contribute to the bills even though they're working.
Damn.
Okay? So let's talk about that. So what do you think about that?
So honestly, that number doesn't surprise me. I think that would be a good reflection of the population.
Of what?
Of like America and the world. I think that majority of people that's the thing, that's a good sample size and a good reflection of what the population would say too.
But that's Muslims.
I think even non-Muslims would say the same
thing. No, there's no way. I feel like non-Muslims would be straight up that yes, obviously if the wife is working, she's going to contribute to the bills. Like I don't think anywhere outside the Muslim community would there be an expectation that the wife doesn't contribute to the bills.
I guess that's true. Yeah, that might be true because Muslim girls are probably thinking that they want their rights, but also want their rights to like work too. So they want their rights in the marriage to get their like their bills paid for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they want their right to have their money too.
Yeah.
So that's not very it's not a really fair setup right there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it depends on the perspective, right? So for example, if husband and wife have an agreement that, you know what, I'm gonna work. Husband says I'm gonna work. I'm going to pay for everything.
Yep.
And you can go ahead and work, and you do whatever you want with the child. So I think if the husband agrees, then it's fine.
That's fair. Right.
But if the agreement at the outset of the marriage was that, look, I'm going to make all the money and you take care of the house and the kids.
Right.
And now she changes her mind and says that now I'm going to work.
Yeah, that's jacked up. Yeah, that's messed up because you guys didn't agree upon that in the beginning.
You didn't agree upon that.
So now it's not fair because, for example, I think we talked about this before too. If a man is putting 8 hours for work and a woman is doing 8 hours for work, the man's 8 hours is going towards the family, while the woman's 8 hours is going straight to her own bank account. So that's not a very fair setup because the man's actually working for the family while the woman isn't.
And I think that's very interesting, right? Because I feel like as men, like when we make money, it's already earmarked for the family. Like there's no...
Yes.
Okay, yeah, maybe you're gonna buy yourself a hat or a hoodie or whatever, but like you don't think that, okay, all this money is my money that I can do what I want with.
Yep. Even if in non-Muslim sense, when a man says that, oh, I'm finally making money now, I can finally get girls.
Yeah.
But when a woman says, oh, I'm getting money, oh, I'm independent now.
Yes.
That's automatically right there. It shows, even in a secular world, that that's the case too.
And that's interesting. This independence issue in question, I think it kind of ties into this, right? Like, if a wife is thinking that, you know what, I'm gonna work, okay, and all that money is my money.
Yep.
And it's almost like they are setting themselves up for independence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that might actually be a cautionary point for men, is that why would she need you if you're working?
Yeah.
Or if she's working.
Yeah, seriously, because you have to have some tangible dependency towards one another, right? Like a man needs a woman for like intimacy and obviously to bear children, right? A woman usually needs a man for protection and provision.
Yeah.
But if you're already doing that yourself, then what's the point of having a man?
And there's this guy named Maslow, or whatever, the Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was, or somebody was making this argument that, marriage back in the day, it would fulfill level 1, right? Like survival. That in order for you to survive, you had to have a wife, or you had to have a husband for economic prosperity to help you plow the fields or whatever the heck you would do. Then later on, it changed to like the second. Then it was like, it has to do with like fulfillment, or it has to do with like connection or human connection or something like that. Yeah. So it like moved up this hierarchy because what's happening is that your survival is all taken care of.
Yep.
So you don't need a wife on that level. You need a wife, let's say, on the third level.
Yep.
And then the final level is what's happening now, where we are so fulfilled in our hierarchy of needs that at the top is like self-fulfillment and goal-seeking and becoming a better person, that now we expect our husband or our wife to like fulfill us spiritually and, from our growth perspective and all those different things. So like this purpose of marriage has changed over time as well.
Yeah, no, it now became more of like a companionship that we're looking for in a marriage, more than like service. and like roles and responsibility. It became more of this companionship.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to be lonely when I'm 60 years old. I want to be sitting next to someone in a rocking chair on my porch. But no one looks at it beyond that anymore. I think because social media. I think social media made it seem that way. Obviously, social media is not going to present people doing their roles and jobs in the marriage. They're gonna show off like the fun parts of marriage, like the very small percentage of marriage. They're gonna show that part because that's a more fun and more advertising part to show.
You know, I also this whole mix and matching of like traditional Islamic marriage and modern day marriage. It's almost like the way that we pick and choose is kind of favoring the woman, right? In the sense that okay, traditional marriage would be husband, like you said, provides, wife provides intimacy, but now husband's still providing, husband is still working, husband is still doing whatever they have to do at home, wife is working.
Yep.
But her money is staying to her.
Right.
And like those other like intimacy, we hear all about intimacy problems.
Yep.
And usually the controller of intimacy is the wife.
Right.
And so it's like, who has the better deal in a marriage?
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like the woman. I mean, obviously it's easy to say because we're men, but I think I'm trying to be as fair as possible and say that it has to be women that are favoring there. And obviously, if the woman's working so hard, they won't have time for intimacy and like the traditional roles that they would do in the past because they're too busy working. They're too tired working. So it's just a difficult balance right now. One thing that so you mentioned in the beginning, like if they should pay bills if they're working, I believe that I know it's tough for a man, and me specifically as a man. I would ideally not want my wife to ever pay the bills. It's just,
I wouldn't either.
Because
for the record, I would not
none
want
of us
my wife
want
to
that
work.
to happen.
Yeah.
But if a woman's going to work and my wife's going to work, what we actually have an agreement, me and my wife, is to agree that she should at least help out in the savings, so that I cover the necessities and she covers the luxuries.
Yeah.
This is a quote I stole from you actually. So she should be the one helping us with the down payment on the house, vacations, maybe kids, whatever comes in the future. So I would want her to cover that, and then I cover the necessities. So that setup's been working well for us now. Obviously, things may change if we ever have kids, but that's been the setup for us. But I said from the jump, if you're gonna work, you have to contribute somehow. Maybe not the bills, because I just as a man, it's like a shot to me.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like that's like my only like real purpose in this marriage is to provide the money, and I get it. That's my job.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna take that role from me, then I feel like a little bit lower as a man, personally speaking. I know some men are more comfortable to do that, which is fine, whatever works for your marriage. But for me, I want that responsibility, but I also still wish my wife contributed with their money if she's gonna be working.
And I've been thinking about like this whole housewife thing. I've talked about it on Instagram and other places about like, have housewives died, right? Like, let us know in the comments if you're a housewife or if you're your husband or if your wife is a housewife, because I really think that it's really dying now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I almost have to wake up to the reality that look, most women, most men are both working dual income household, and I think that we do need to kind of change kind of this discussion of roles, right? Because traditional roles, the picking and choosing, I think the men are losing out. And so how do we redefine those roles between husband and wife?
Like, I get that too. And honestly, this is a big topic for me because I really feel like women bash on housewives more than men do. Like, the pressure that women feel guilty for being housewives because of their friends. Like, no men we actually respect people that are becoming housewives because they're truly putting their family first over their money and their career. But I feel like women get the pressure from other women to not be housewives because they look down upon.
That is pretty sad. It's like that whole super mom mentality. Like, in order for you to be successful, you have to be like the best mom in the world, but also like the CEO of.
And that's such a hard job, man. Yeah. That's the hard thing to do.
I think that's unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, and why you put so much pressure on yourselves? It's so hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So. And the value of the housewife, right? It has absolutely is gone.
Yeah.
Even though a housewife, again, and I know like there's different like types of housewives, right? You have like the housewife who quote unquote doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
You have the housewife who, it's like super mom and it's like taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, taking care of all that. And I can understand, like in this society where it's all about like individuals, how that person, that housewife can feel like lonely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like that fulfillment of having a peaceful house.
Yeah.
Nothing can replace that.
No, 100%. That's priceless. Like walking in and having like like your wife there, and like this, like there's being comfort to the home when you walk in is huge. It's more than any money she could bring into the table.
Absolutely.
Like
that good mood, like walking in and your wife and your family and your kids are in a good mood.
Yeah, it makes up for all the crap you probably went through at work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
But then, okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, I'm guessing now if the wife is working, and here's the thing, right? Like, I don't know if people have a choice, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm about to say that too. Good
right?
call.
I don't know if people have a choice of being a housewife or not being a housewife, just based off of circumstances
Inflation,
and what you have to pay for, sure, inflation and our lifestyle and all of that. But I guess how do you replace that then? How do you replace that?
Lower your means. Live below your means. Especially with me, I'm gonna be completely honest. Living in the Desi community in Chicago, it's a tough community to meet because a lot of Desis in our community are like pretty well off financially, right? So when you see someone with this house and see someone driving this car, you feel that you're not at that level, and we put pressure on ourselves. Like no one has ever called me out for not driving this certain car, having this house. But when I see other people around me doing that, I put pressure on myself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So because of that, I have to feel that I have to make as much money as possible, even though I might be living at a good salary right now, just to compete with the Desi community. Because alhamdulillah, we're all pretty well off. Everyone's pretty educated in the Desi community. So because of that, they're obviously going to be more well off than I am. And I have like the pressure to like try to meet the level, which is
it's like a competition.
It really is.
Yeah.
But no one put pressure on me to do that. It's just me putting it in my own brain.
No,
unfortunately,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, obviously, I think it's a weakness. Everybody kind of has that love, and they want to increase and stuff like that. But at the family level, right? Like I in my divorce cases, for example, I see judges all the time wanting the dad's money, but not the dad's time. What do I mean? They think that it's better that wife gets more time, so that she can get child support from the dad, rather than there being a 50-50 schedule and child support not being paid. What am I getting at? Basically, to your point, that lower means living in a smaller house where you can actually have time with your children and your family is going to lead to a stronger, happier family than having to work all the time, both people out of the house, whatever the case might be.
No, so I'm about to ask you, so well, I typically see the stats where 75% of divorces are initiated by the woman. Is that accurate to your data?
Yeah, of course.
So the women that initiate that divorce, do you see a common theme? Are they mostly ones that are career oriented, or are they mostly housewives that are initiating divorce? Do you see a
I mean, it's both. It's definitely both. I mean, you can see it from both perspectives. Like the housewives usually, unfortunately, they're like in abuse situations, right? Like they've been abused, they're financially controlled and things like that. And that's actually what I wanted to talk about next. Is it even practical? Would you advise your sister to be a housewife, like without an education or without a means? But going back to the question, so it's housewives are usually abused, okay? And then when it comes to women who are working and educated, I think it's more about like, okay, kind of, I'm done, like in the sense that my guy's a loser, or he has this problem, or the mother-in-law or something. So usually for that type of situation, it's a little different when the wife's working.
Okay.
But kind of to that point of not, being a housewife and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So I get why women are housewives. I get the push for people wanting to work as a woman, because I'm sure they heard stories in the past from like maybe their parents or aunts or uncles or aunts who were housewives, but the man knew that they were housewives and didn't have any financial independence, that they would take advantage of that and belittle the women. So I get why women nowadays want to work, because it empowers them, which is great.
Yeah.
Especially they have like leverage now, so if a man ever abuses them, they're just like, I don't need you, I have my own money, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's a tough balance, I get why women want to work, and I know it's hard, but there's a tough balance. I guess it's whatever works for your
I guess it's the mentality, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, it's a reality. People are going to work. You have to work.
Yeah.
You should have your own independence, a way to make money in this world, unfortunately, in the capitalistic society. But I think it's your mentality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this whole, like, career man, career woman, I've said this before, like, I don't like that perspective.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working, work for the family.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right, like the family should be the main unit that
for both parties.
For both parties, that the main party that we're trying to protect.
Yeah. That's why I would expect if a woman is working to contribute somehow. Obviously you're not expected to do that. To pay all the bills, but if you're gonna be working, you should contribute to the family, right? This is both of our husband and wife's goal is to bring up the family and make it as well comfortable as possible, right?
Yeah.
So if your language to provide for the family is through finances and money, then make sure you focus on that, But if a woman's idea of serving the family is through nurturing and caring and staying at home and teaching the kid, then make sure you go all in with that, whatever your goal is.
I guess the argument would be, well, why not both, right? You could theoretically do both, where the wife's working,
Yeah.
and she is providing that, nurturing sense and holding it down, or
And I mean,
maybe the man, in modern day, the man has to kind of pick up that other side of it.
yeah, but naturally, one side or the other, either the finances or the nurturing of the kids is going to take a toll, right? If you're going to be doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't be 100% at both. You're going to be 50-50, 75-25, etc.
Yeah.
So one of them have to take a hit, right?
But do you think the modern marriage is a breaking of that, and we're now like this the last however many hours, like we just chilled with the dude, and what, like, it's just what it is. Like, I feel like guys are more involved with their kids.
Yeah.
They could spend days, and men and husbands can spend days and days with their child, and they're totally fine.
Yeah,
Whereas,
yeah.
like, maybe our parents' generation, a few hours is like, holy moly, what do I do with the kid? But I think that's different now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking is like, obviously the Islamic ruling is there that the basic marriage is that the husband provides money and shelter and protection, and the wife provides intimacy.
Right.
And obviously, there's other things that are built on top of that. From the cultural basis,
Yeah.
And Islam is obviously going to take what's good of the culture and leave what's bad of the culture.
Right.
But now that we're in this modern context, okay, I think those two principles apply. But culturally, I think there could be flexibility in those roles and what husband and wife are supposed to provide.
Yeah, right. Oh, 100%. Islam in general does, right? Obviously, there's laws that you cannot, and rights that each parties have. But at the same time, if a wife doesn't feel that her rights are being taken advantage of or being belittled, then there's some legal room, right? So obviously, Islam says that Muslim or the man has to be taking care of all the funds, but in that marriage, the woman somehow is making more money than the man.
Yeah.
Then there's adjustments to be made, right?
Yeah. I guess can the man really ask for that money though? I would not. I mean, like, me personally, I could never do it.
Yeah.
I don't think you would ever do it.
No.
But is it? I still feel like it's wrong to
Yeah.
demand that the wife pay for anything. But at the same time, you could make the argument that the wife doesn't have to work, or you can quote unquote stop your wife from working, or have her stay at home, or whatever.
Do you have that power, or not power? But are you able to tell someone not to work, your wife not to work?
Not in modern day.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what's scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way, right? I mean, I think, again, I guess it goes back to what do you agree on.
Yeah.
Like, if you agree that you're going to stay at home or you're going to work, I guess it really just depends on whatever they agree to.
Yeah. Agreed. That's big. Yeah.
But I don't think I don't know. I mean, we're not scholars to say if it's haram, halal or not, but I think that is just, it is what it is.
No, that's true, because we talked to a sheikh recently too about that, right?
Yeah.
Where we're thinking obviously the man has the qawam over a woman, right?
Yeah.
So if you are giving up being the breadwinner, are you going against the ayah about being the qawam in the family or to the wife? Because that's part of being a qawam or protector over your family, right? Is providing.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna give up that part and have your wife do it,
Yeah.
are you going against that ayah?
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
But I guess I'm looking at
TBD.
it this way, if the guy's not providing, let's say temporarily, there's an agreement that husband does not work, husband stays at home, and wife works.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm thinking, does she have a case for a fasq, meaning to dissolve the marriage because husband isn't fulfilling their side of the contract?
Yeah.
Because he's not providing any money and any shelter.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you
fair.
might agree to it, but legally speaking, that might be a basis to still dissolve your marriage.
Right.
I mean, I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah, it's scary, man. I mean, as long as I guess you agree, and if you don't try to just flake in the middle of the marriage, you'd be like, never mind, I want to work. Then that's probably a bad setup. But I guess whatever you agree with. But at the same time, you still want that. You still want to fulfill the Islamic rights. They're set up that way for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get the whole both sides of being career oriented, but at the same time, it could be dangerous if you're too career focused as a woman.
You think we missed any points on that question? If
Uh,
your wife works, should she contribute to the bills?
Yeah.
I would say no. Just to kind of squarely answer the question, I would say no.
Really?
Because I'm thinking about my marriage, right? Like, if my wife wanted to go work, I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out. Go work if you want. You know, like,
Sure, man.
but like, we've been married for so long, like 13 years, you know,
So,
I think we can figure it out.
Yeah, so you're deeper into marriage, right?
Yeah.
So I've been married for, what, 2.5 years, right?
Yeah.
And my wife has been working the whole time.
Yeah.
And for us, it's been fine right now. It's been perfectly fine to manage, but we don't have kids.
Yeah.
So I can see with kids, it's going to be tough if both people are working.
Yeah, because then childcare. I mean, basically,
Exactly.
that's what it comes down to. Is either
Yeah.
is mom gonna watch the kids,
Yeah.
or is somebody else gonna?
Yeah,
watch
because not about me being taken care of. Like,
it?
we're going to be
Or
fine.
are you watching the kids?
Yeah, but I mean, this sucks. Is like our natural skills as a man and as a woman are like I think more relevant to the traditional roles. Like men I feel are more like less emotional and they're able to go out and go get money, and women look for men who have like success and have accolades to their name.
Yeah.
Men are looking for women who are obviously feminine, who are nurturing and caring,
Yeah.
which means that they would be typically with the kids more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope I don't sound like a misogynist.
No, but
right?
I think that's general, right? I think we're talking about generalities. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
going to be exceptions to the rules. There might be some other couple, whatever. I think you're right. I think from a general level, men have a certain leaning, women have a certain leaning, and then if you break it down at the individual, like your situation might be different, my situation might be different.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we might conform to the rule, we might be exceptions to the rule.
Right. So I guess to answer it for me, I believe for me, I don't want her to pay for bills even though she is working, but I do want her to contribute to the savings. That's not bills, but so what we do actually, I was giving us all the secrets. But like what we have an agreement that if your bank account reaches a certain number in your bank account.
Yeah.
The excess of that you have to pitch into the savings. So I have a number in my bank account that after I reach this threshold, then I have to donate that to the savings.
Yeah.
And if she reaches this certain threshold, and anything in excess of that, she has to put that in the savings.
Interesting.
So we don't like we're not police. We're not gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, let me open your bank account, let me see it. But we trust each other. You know, like we both have the same goal. We want to get a house in the future. We want to have like vacations and get cars.
Yeah.
So it's going back to us eventually anyway. The savings.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know. So it goes back to her too. So she won't feel as salty to giving just bills, you know.
Interesting.
So that's our setup, and Alhamdulillah has been working fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have to reevaluate our whole setup when kids come into play.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
So I could see that being a whole ball game. So I need to come in and talk to you guys about it, inshallah, whenever that happens. But that's been our setup. So yes, I do believe that if your wife is working, she should contribute financially somehow. Maybe not through bills, but maybe in savings.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was married young, right? I was married 21, 22. And so we've had joint everything
That's crazy.
since the beginning.
That's crazy, bro.
So like, all of our accounts are joint.
All of them. Wow.
Yeah, all of our accounts are joint.
You don't have your own, and she
No.
doesn't have her own.
No.
Wow.
Well, so they're all joint, okay? But she quote unquote has her own. Like, I don't look at her two accounts.
Okay, but you have access to it.
Yeah, I have access to it.
But you won't ever care to look.
No, I don't care.
Okay.
to look. So like, she has her two accounts. One she uses as a saving, one she uses as a checking, and then we have our main checking account, and then we have our savings account. So it's like the family checking account, the family saving account, then her checking account, her saving account.
Damn.
Then whatever else, whatever else we might have, but everything else is joint. Everything is joint.
Wow.
I mean, except for my firm, but
Yeah. Okay.
everything is
Wow.
Everything is joint.
For us, I don't mind sharing this. Like I have my own checking, she has her own checking,
Yeah.
and we both share a savings.
Okay. Yeah.
So
That's cool.
we see like how much each other are going to contribute to the savings, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I guess there's not really a right answer, right?
I don't think there's a right answer. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just about having that.
Whatever works for you,
discussion,
man.
yeah.
Like there's literally I've known couples, which obviously I couldn't do,
Yeah.
where like the wife is the breadwinner and the man he works,
Yeah.
but he's like the one like cooking and cleaning, and whatever works for you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever, as long as you're taking each other's rights away, like we're all in the same struggle to make our marriages happy, man. Like sometimes the traditional route is not the best for everyone, so. Struggle's real out here for everyone, man. No matter what your economic status is or whatever,
Yeah.
we're all in the same struggle, bro.
Yeah, I guess it is about just making the marriage work, and whatever strong opinion I had about, wife not contributing or not billing. Like
for me, I still feel that way. I still think she should contribute personally.
Yeah.
But end of the day, whatever works for you, man.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. I want to keep these nice and short, but I think we should do them more often.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I like these, man. Hopefully we can continue this. We can make this a regular thing if people like it.
That'd be fun. Let us know in the comments if you like this type of setup. Just two brothers talking about whatever's on our mind, and I'm sure as time passes, we'll say more stupid things.
Yeah.
But
I might get in trouble.
I mean, I like the topics, right? Like family, marriage, and husband, and just whatever the hell.
Yeah, no, we everyone could relate to it, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're single too, looking to get married, it might be nice to hear something from us, especially you, because you're more experienced in the game, and as a divorce lawyer too, you can add your 2 cents. So yeah, I'm not smart, I'm not educated, I'm just a random guy that's just speaking out of my butt, basically. Yeah.
And then check out his shirt, Roosevelt Road over Devon Avenue.
Shop
any
TOL.
day. That's
Shop
right.
TOL.
That's right. Subscribe for future videos.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.